This video is about how to use the checklist. This video starts off with basic information about the checklist, then continues to intermediate knowledge, and lastly to advanced knowledge, and finally we have nuggets of knowledge at the end of this video too. It was done this way so in the future, if you need to come back to review this video, the basic information may be all you need to refresh your memory about the checklist. Or just the basic information may be all you need to move through the checklist. So suffice it to say, the longer you watch the video, the more understanding you'll receive about how to use the checklist. The checklist has 5 basic areas. Really 4 because one of the areas is split in 2, so I'll call it 5. The first area is the beginning or setup area. The second area is the checking and verifying process area, and this is the area that's split into 2 different areas because what's in between is the next area down, and that's the program list requirement area. And after that is once again the checking and verifying process area. This is the second half of it. But this second half has more of an emphasis on the computer cleanup. And finally, the 5th is completion. Let's start to take a closer look. The first area is what I call the setup area, and involves the beginning information, identifying who you are and what you are working on, the date you started, the model of your computer, etc., as well as such things as the RAM, the CPU, the hard drive. It's the gathering of the beginning information and its place to type it on the form. The second area begins the checking and verifying process and is laid out in such a way whereby doing one checklist item before the other will actually benefit you in the long run. So one benefit, for example, by using the checklist, is its ability to speed you through the refurbishing process rather than just a random set of items to perform. This area is actually split. It has the program requirements list in the middle, or I call the third area, placed in the middle. The third area is the program requirements list, required by the SPUG Computer Refurbishing Project in order to refurbish your computer. The fourth area is where checking and verifying process picks up again. But this time, there's a little more program cleanup involved. A good reason for the heavy-handedness on computer cleanup and doing things like defrag at this time is because it's better placed here after all the required programs you just installed or updated are done. And this is just one example. Please note, the checklist has been built on itself, meaning that one checklist item has been placed after another checklist item for a reason, and following a sequence will better help you and the end user. The 5th area is simply the completion area. This is where you register what you've done to your computer, completing the form and the process. Now, let's take a brief, even more closer look at one of the checklists. The reason why it'll be brief is because the checklist itself, concept and procedures, will be the same for any checklist that you work on or any updated checklist that you might work on. But the individual items to be checked or programs to be installed may vary and will vary with each checklist. As long as you know the concept completing any one checklist, you'll know how to use all of the checklists or any updated checklist. So although the checklist items listed may itself change from time to time, the concept and procedures will not. Simply complete the form following the items from top going down the checklist in order that they are listed. The checklist begins with a header, and within the header you will see a variety of things. But to name just a few, on the left, you'll see the checklist type. The next column, you'll see the date of the checklist update. Remember, one dated sooner takes precedent over another later. For example, if you have a checklist dated May 22nd, 2013, and one dated April 6th, 2013, the May 22nd, 2013, obviously, will be more current and should be the one that is used. The thing to note here is anything on the checklist that is blue and underlined is a link to go somewhere else. For example, presently, to the right of Furby are the words, "Check out our webpage." If you were to click this link, it would take you to the Spug Computer Refurbishing Project webpage. The same thing holds true for anything else you see that's blue and underlined is a link and will take you somewhere else. Below the header is where the beginning setup input information starts. This is where you type the necessary information to the right of the first column. As an example, presently the first item says your initials. To the right of that, in the next column, over, is where you would type your initials. I say presently, remember, because the concept will stay the same. The words may change. It is read, then type in this area. This area ends with a blue separating line, which is an indication that another area has started. Presently, this area starts off with did you, and the line down says clean computer, blowout or vacuum. You'll find at times just by doing this measure will correct many problems the computer may have. And this is the reason why it's the first physical refurbishing step. You will find that all the refurbishing checklist is in a specific order which will benefit you and the end user if you perform it in that fashion. After you are done cleaning the computer by compressor, by blowing it out, or using a vacuum, you would then use your mouse to check the box indicating yes, and type any information that might help you or us in the box to the right. Continuing down the checklist while performing what the checklist requests brings you to another blue line or row. This is the area we call the program list requirements, and will be the programs needed for the computer refurbishing procedure. The other areas of the checklist require you to use your left mouse button to put an X in the yes box, and in some cases require a typed explanation to the right, not in the program requirements list. Here, you simply move through the area by using your left mouse button, putting an X in the box. This area will also inform you if the program needs an icon on the desktop or not, as well as if the program or icon needs to be updated. Let's take a look at two unique examples. Example 1. If the box already has an X in it, that simply means that step is not necessary. So this particular checklist item would mean that the program is required and the program needs to be updated, but no icon on the desktop is necessary. Unique example 2. With this unique example, this particular checklist item would mean that the computer has the program. It does not need to be updated, but it does need an icon on the desktop. If you come across a program that you don't have in need, in most cases, and whenever possible, you will see that the program name will be blue and underlined. It is a link. By clicking the link, it will bring you to the most recent download available for that program. At that point in time, you can download and install it as necessary. As you cross over the next blue line, you'll be back in the checklist input area and out of the program requirement list. Please keep in mind that this checklist is for desktop computers and laptops alike. So you may have a few questions about laptops in the mix. If you are not doing a laptop, just leave the areas of the laptop unchecked if you are doing a desktop computer. At the bottom of the checklist, you'll see the completion process, as well as our email address and passwords that may be required from time to time, depending on what program you're installing. Although the appearance and what each line says on the checklist may change from time to time as things are updated, the concepts will not. And finally, we have nuggets of knowledge at the end of this video too. So basically, you go from top to bottom, item per item, completing the checklist. If the computer does not have one of the programs we recommend installed, install it. Or on the other hand, if the computer has a program that should not be there, uninstall it. If at any time you have a question about any item listed on the checklist, you can either refer to the related video or ask another volunteer at the shop. We're more than happy to help.